All right, here we are, folks. I am Nick Slavic. I am the proprietor of the Nick Slavic Painting and Restoration Company. I'm also the host of this show, Ask the Painter Live. Today, we have a special production assistant, Milo. Come over here. Little gator boy. So he's going to be reading off comments today because we are streaming in 3 different places. And he will be reading comments off to me, and I will be replying to them in real time. I'm going to be painting today, so obviously I'm not going to be able to check my stuff, but he's going to be manning the helm, making sure everything's charging. We're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. This is an awesome show. About 200 shows ago on Ask the Painter, long time ago, might even have been about 4 years ago, I did a live painting of a bedroom, a master bedroom, on the internet. And so a lot of times people didn't believe the data that was coming out of my company. We have a very strict, very tight, very well-defined wall painting standard operating procedure. There are 22 steps from pulling up to the house to loading the van when you're done. And basically, I'm going to walk you through in real time this. So grab 3 cups of coffee, grab some breakfast, do whatever you need. This is going to be a couple hour long show. The last time I did it years ago, I did it in about 2.5 hours. While answering live comments, meandered my way through. The interesting thing you guys should know about what we do as a company is that we have a very tight process for this. So we are in my shop right now. This does not look like a standard bedroom because we are in my shop. Behind Milo is racks of sprayers, our spray booth, and everything else. This is exactly where we train all of our apprentices. Now, on this room, we actually have a standard for this room. The training module is our bedroom. The low goal is about 5.5 hours. The high goal is about 4 hours, give or take. So what does that mean? For the price that we sell a bedroom repaint, this is a 15 by 15 foot room, we sell it for about $400, and that would give an apprentice or a craftsperson a budget at its highest 5.7 hours to complete it. That is the point where if you take any longer than that, the company starts losing money. Now, we have a goal inside our company for 4 hours, the 4-hour bedroom. That's about 30% under budget, give or take. We are actually having, the next interesting part of this is we're having a bedroom repaint contest where every single person is coming through this room and putting up a time. The time to beat my company is about 1 hour and 23 minutes right now. And you will say, Nick, how good can that be in 1 hour and 23 minutes? Or that's not normal. I agree, this is not a normal bedroom. You can see there is no carpet, there is no furniture. We do put damage into the walls, a set number of screw pops and holes and things like that. But we understand that this is not, I do not expect my people to do 1 hour and 23 minute bedroom repaints in the field. It's going to take longer than that. But we do have a standard. This is a thing where everybody can put a number up on. We know 1 hour and 23 minutes isn't realistic for the rest of time forever, but it is a way for us to all do a standardized thing and rate in our company. So we have a leaderboard in this company, and people put up time. So what I'm going to do today is walk you through the basic SOP. My standard operating procedure just doesn't deal with painting. It deals with showing up at the house, putting up a yard sign, creating a project plan for something like this. For a typical project plan for a bedroom has 4 parts: the prep, top 1, top 2, and then deep prep. And I like people to guess how much time it's going to take them, or if they know, make a plan, and then at the end of the day, write down how much those steps actually took. So I'm just going to walk you through this entire thing here. This has been something that I have refined and is almost pure science to me at this point. Again, I've been painting 29 years. I've owned my own business for 14. For the last 14, I have hammered this. I have tried everything. I have tried all the tools, all the paints, all the putty, all the tapes, all the everything. And this is the way that I found that we can deliver the highest quality, professional, beautiful sheen wall finish to our clients regularly. And we can have apprentices do it very quickly. We have people in our company who have only been here in the trades and in our company for 10 weeks, and they can do a 3.5 or 4 hour bedroom, no problem. So that's the power of the Decent Human Being Theory, training module, and all this stuff. Now, just so you guys, everybody's going to be curious, what are you using, this and that. So I will get the show notes after, and I'll list that. But we are a Frogtape Pro company. Blue Frogtape. We use this for everything, inside, outside, trim, everything else. Done right, you can rip this off a room and there's no touch-ups at all. For patching, we use 3M high strength, like this. And this is going to look a little different than the normal 3M high strength. You can see this is blue. We actually use chalk line tint in here so that when we patch trim, when we patch walls that are white, we're not doing a white patch over a white wall where you can miss it. The blue tint will actually let you see what you're missing. So that's what we use here. We have a Purdy Pro Extra Elasco. So 2.5 inch straight cut, long handle. I was raised on straight cut brushes. I understand that I might be biased and I might be not open to angled or sash brushes, but I try them all the time and they're still not as efficient. To me, angled sash brushes, they're not wrong, but they're unidirectional. They're gonna have something like this, so if you're cutting into a corner and the angle's going the wrong way, you have to physically take a step to switch it. When I dip my paint, I'm a dipper and a wiper, so I wipe one side and put the paint up against the wall and cut. When you have an angle brush, you have one more step of which side do I dip, which side do I put up there. That's fine. I like this because it's unidirectional. It doesn't matter. We have Purdy 1/2 inch white dove. For this time, I'm going to be using an 18. My standard is a 9 inch roller, and typically a lot of the stuff we do on residential repaints is a 9 inch roller. But this time, I'm going to do an 18 because the one I did years ago, Ask a Painter Live 131, give or take, I did a 9 inch roller. I thought I'd give you guys another example. But brush hasn't changed, folks. I use everything. There are tons of good brushes out there, but how I determine what to use is it's got to be world class, it's got to be readily available, and it's got to be something that can work for lots and lots of different people. So yes, I'm sure there's a brush that's handmade by some Italian grandfather that we can import for $182 that's better than this, but this is something that's replicable, it's not going away, and it's a world class product. Same thing with these things. So yeah, we got our 18 inch tray, we got 2 box fans, we have an LED light, and a simple set of hand tools here I'll show you as well. So prep pouch here. This is a standard thing we issue to people in our company, and we have our putty knife. I like the flexible ones for actually doing wall patches, and somewhere between a 2.5 and a 3. It's pretty nice. I like that. Now, 1 inch doesn't really let you cover very well. This will do most standard wall damage pretty easily. We have an old Purdy brush that's past its prime. This one I've been hanging on to for, I don't know, 6-7 years, but this is a cleaning brush, a dust brush. I've cut the handle off so it doesn't get in the way, but this is what I dust off my woodwork with. Then, of course, the Purdy folding tool. These things are awesome, slip in anywhere, and I used to press down my tape. And I carry just a little snub nose regular screwdriver like this. So again, it's something that won't get in the way, but it will take off all the switch plates. And we just have little Dickies prep pouches like this. Everybody in my company gets one, and I prefer that everybody puts them on and leaves them on to have all their tools at their hand. And of course, knee pads. I've never found a perfect pair of knee pads, but these ones, they will bind up on the back of your leg a little bit, but they also won't fall down. And I found that there's kind of like a lesser of two evil things, where you can get something that's perfectly comfortable, gel, Velcro, won't kind of bind up your skin on the back, but then they'll fall down. These, I would much rather have something that will stay placed like this. So typically when I show up to a job site, prep pouch goes on, knee pads go on, and it stays like this all day. Knee pads are a huge thing that nobody really talks about. Back, neck, shoulders, legs, everything's affected by your knees, especially when we have a concrete floor here. If you work all day on a concrete floor, your body will be very sore, and it's just the way it is. So I'm basically going to walk through this entire SOP. The basics are, when we come into a room, we put floor protection down first, and we immediately want to start patching, because getting those patches dry is one of the most important things. So floor protection goes down first. In this case, we're going to do canvas drop cloths, and we immediately start getting fans and patches going. They have to dry. This is before we tape any woodwork, before we do any switch plates. Once the patches are done, then we will do taping the woodwork, then we'll take switch plates off, then we'll sand the patches, top coat 1, top coat 2, and then deep prep. We basically reverse it. There's going to be a bunch of little tricks in between. There's going to be one awkward moment where I'm painting the wall in front of the canvas here, so just bear with me. I might disappear for a couple seconds here, but that basic idea in our standard operating procedure is we like to start in the door that you come into a bedroom. So whatever door you enter in, we're going to call it this one here. We use that wall as our starting place. And every process we do, whether we're patching, top coat 1, sanding, we start here and do around, around. And you got to stay in that sequence like that. That'll allow everything to dry well. Another thing, when you're painting a room in somewhere between 1 and 3 hours from start to finish, you're going to need some assistance with drying. So every crew, every person is issued at least 2 box fans. And the strategy is the second you get floor protection down, box fans go on, so that when you start patching, it's already starting to dry. Because it's not going to take long to patch. Sometimes it can only take 15 or 20 minutes to patch an entire room for about 70, 80 patches. And again, if you want to get super nerdy with this, you get 1 box fan pointing this way, 1 box fan pointing this way, and you can almost feel a circular kind of air movement in here, like this, and that'll actually aid in the drying. If you just have 2 fans pointed this way, it's not going to circulate as much air as if you have 1 circulating like this. So our typical wall paint, our go-to wall paint is Sherwin-Williams Duration Matte. Now, there is a little bit of an issue with getting some. So in this room, we're actually going to be using super paint. We can get duration, and we are using it, but I want to save it for my crews. So I spec some super paint for this one. So we don't use it and use a good gallons of duration in case we can't get it anymore. So, all right. Unless I'm missing something, I think we are going to go for it. I'm going to come back behind the camera here and make sure everything's running before I lock in. Oh, dude. Nice, buddy. Frank's fine finishes. Unfolded purdy like a safety off a pistol. All right, so, and see, you can scroll up like this, bud. So you can read off the comments as they come here and on Instagram as well too, bud. Sound good? Mm-hmm. All right. You ready to follow me around?
Yes.
1 sip of coffee, and we are rocking and rolling. And just for giggles, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually track this on my Apple Watch to see how many calories I burned during this time. And we will call this dance. Okay, here we go, folks. How to paint a wall like a pro.
Okay, there's one that says, "Hey, Nick. Good morning, Nick. Hey, there's that SUP is gold. We've used it reverse visions for a couple years now."
I love it. Thank you very much. And you can say the person's name too, so I know it.
Okay. There's jealous of your training space.
Say it again, bud.
Jealous of your training space.
Yeah. So our training space is really cool. We actually have right next to this here is a 2-scale replica of a bathroom as well too. And up above in our shop, we actually have we have a kitchen as well too, so that is super fun as well. That we train people. We have a stairwell that we built behind this as well, so people can practice masking spindles and things. And we also have door and window modules as well. It's fun to do that stuff.
Okay, there's some more good mornings.
Good morning, everybody.
Bradley Ellison, amazing assistant, deserves a raise.
Is he talking about you, dude?
Yes.
He actually, my little production assistant, is getting paid for this. Quite handsomely, I might remind him. So I'm glad he volunteered. We were actually talking on the way over here about starting his apprenticeship this summer. So we'll see.
Dad, there's Ronnie. Ronnie's on this. It says, "Hello, surfer boy."
Ronnie is a friend, interpreter, colleague, Brazilian pintor. Love that guy. There's going to be a little bit of fan noise. This is what it is.
Jerry Williams, good morning, Mr. Nick. There's love that you have your son helping. Good morning, Nick, the gooseneck guy. Cheers. We use the whistle.
You're going to have to talk louder now, buddy. We got
fans rolling. We use the whistle looking for fan only BC. You can flip it up and use for better air circulation. The box fans only can be placed one way, and that means the dust gets pushed one way. So if the people are sloppy, a lot of dust and chips are on the floor that will eventually go towards the paint. Obviously, try to stay clean is the main key.
Maybe. I think you're overthinking it. That's getting super nerdy. So, patch LED in your hand like this. We're going to start patching.
Dad, you want me to face the camera towards you?
I'm going to be moving fast, bud, so track me.
Okay.
It's important to use LED lights too, because the naked eye, especially in back corners of bedrooms, you're going to miss a lot. There's not going to be enough light, so when you get one of these, you see all sorts of craziness out of these walls.
Oh, Dad, there's Oscar Milan says no sound.
Anybody else saying no sound?
No, I think that's just him.
Okay. Is that Facebook?
It's your this one.
That one? Okay. Keep an eye on it. Brother, hey, people, if you have no sound, let me know.
Okay.
But people should have probably said that already.
You want me to type that in?
No.
Okay.
We'll let you know. I
Okay.
just said it. And if somebody does not have sound, they will make a comment if they do not have sound.
Okay. See, there's Jason Webb. Good morning, Nick from London, England.
Good morning, my friend from across the pond.
There's one that I hear you fine, so that's good.
Shout them out, Playboy.
Good morning. Love your SOP you set in place for your company. What brand of button shirts do you have for your company?
Say what brand of button shirts?
Yeah.
These. So I have a different uniform for different people. So apprentices all wear t-shirts. Just nice, sturdy, cream and tan colored t-shirts. My leadership team has polo shirts. My sales team actually has long sleeve dress linen shirts, kind of cream and tan, again, with a theme. And I have my own kind of set of shirts. So I've always worn, this is my typical uniform, even back when I started this company, I wanted to raise the bar a little bit. So I honestly go between a whole bunch of different brands. Wherever I can find that's tan or cream, I usually take. That means we got Dickies, we got Carhartt. This one, I can't remember. Some of these are just actually kind of like linen dress shirts too. So it's actually surprisingly hard to find tan and cream colored shirts sometimes. So I take what I can get. But our latest batch of like really nice long sleeve dress shirts was actually come from Amazon Essentials. Which is really cool. They got just a bunch of basic stuff.
Ronnie said, ask Nick if he's following his SOPs on this job.
That's what we're doing today. I'm following the SOP to the actual T here. So, okay, we got our patch on. We are going to tape. So again, there's a whole bunch of little tips and tricks to taping, but today we're going for time. So I'm just going to tape. So again, we're going to start in the corner back here, brush it off, and then apply the tape. Yeah, little buddy.
Joe Curry said, why do you use LED over your headlamp lights?
LED over what?
I don't know. Yeah. I think that's what
so
it is.
with the headlamp, you're shining straight onto the wall. With the LED that you hold, you're shining it sideways on the wall. And you're not going to be able to see all of the flaws in a wall if you point a light straight at it. You have to point the light sideways to see all the imperfections. Just like an extracted light that we have on our downdraft sanding table.
There's Oscar Milan again, and he's good morning, Nick. There's one, your dad is a top-notch dude. You're lucky to have him. And that's...
Right, you have to shout it out loud. I think that was a compliment. I want to make sure I hear that one.
Okay, your dad is a top-notch dude. You're lucky to have him.
Oh man, that's nice. Who said that, bud?
Anthony Cade.
Oh, love that guy. I've had barbecue multiple times with Mr. Cade and his wife. I enjoy those people a great deal.
There's none yet anymore.
All right, so when I tape, I brush off the tape. I press it down with my fingers, and then I press it down with a purdy tool. Just to get that in, because I got thick thumbs, and I can't get into that little 90. So it's very important that I get in there with that purdy tool.
Okay, we got some more. There's good job. John Anderson, do you ever use heat guns or blow dryers to speed drying up deeper patches?
Yes, only on an emergency basis though. That's not something you want to do all the time. It's a scenario where we would do something like that as a homeowner forgot to tell you, and there's a fist hole or a hole from a baseball behind a door or something, and in that case we would absolutely, if it got sprung on us, yeah, we would definitely use something to accelerate the
and the same guy, do you ever use vacuum sander attachments?
Say it again, bud.
Do you ever use vacuum sander attachments?
No, not in the way that they're probably thinking. So, a lot of times painters will use sort of a full sander attached to a festival or some of their back system, and very rarely do we actually find walls that are that beat up where we have to do that. We'll certainly do that with our drywall crew and stuff like that, and we have them in the company, but in the act of standard wall painting, it's not something we really do. We will definitely, if there's a little stick on the wall or something, we may run over it, but it's not in our SOP. Walls are actually surprisingly pretty good. I'm actually, today, I usually go counterclockwise when I tape. It feels like with my right-handedness, kind of feels a little more natural, but I want to keep super consistent with the SOP and not be a hypocrite. So I'm going this way.
Okay, there's one that says, it should be Ask Gator Boy Show.
We can absolutely do that, dude. I love that idea.
There is one. Do you ever find blue tape bleeds through the Frogtape?
No. No, when applied correctly, so you can see here, I rip off a 2 or 3 foot segment. I tap it down with my hand, and one hand is kind of the driver of the tape, where I'm adjusting it. I get it tapped down, and then I run that purdy tool over to get that last thing in. And when done like that, I expect rooms, you pull the tape off, have absolutely no touch-ups. So one thing I do in the corner, you're not going to be able to see the detail here, but I run my tape long, I guide it into the corner, I run it long and long, pretty tool in the corner, and snap it off like that for a perfectly 90-degree corner.
Okay. If you're not painting baseboards, what would you do if the tape tore off of the paint from the baseboard? Okay, if you're not painting baseboards, what would you do if the tape tore off some of the paint from the baseboard? Would you consider yourself relatable?
Liable? No. So actually, in our info sheet that we give to our clients, it basically says the same thing for boards as it does for that, which is if delicate painter's tape damages a surface, that is a failed surface or failed coating, and not our problem. So we can't be making up for other people's mistakes like that. So the most typical situation in that case is, when it pulls up a little bit of floor finish. And the ridiculous sort of argument is always, hey, painter, your tape pulled up my floor finish, so it's your fault and I want you to pay for it. And the counter argument to that would be, listen, if I just painted your cabinets, and some tile guy who put in a backsplash put a little bit of blue delicate painter's tape on my cabinet and pull the finish off, they absolutely would not blame the tile guy. They would say that painter would be a poor finish. So that floor finish, if you can pull floor finish off with painter's tape, that is a completely 100% failed floor finish, and that is the liability of the flooring contractor. Now, in the real world, though, if we just have a little bit that came off or something, we will absolutely ask the client for some touch-up paint, and we would touch it up. Because again, we don't like to be these legalistic, sort of painters where it's like, hey, my job sort of thing. But we're also not going to repaint all the trim in the house because somebody else gave it a good finish. So we'll just do the decent human being thing. If it's a spot, let's just take care of it. What else you got, little buddy?
There's one. What's your best basic trim painting? Is super paint good in your opinion?
All right, say that again.
Okay. What's your best basic trim paint? Is it super paint good in your opinion?
No, not for trim. Super paint is a wall paint, and it's a high to mid grade wall paint. It's actually a pretty good paint. The reason we don't use super paint on walls a lot is because the duration is world class. The best trim paint, in my opinion, right now, is Benjamin Moore's Scuffex Satin. I absolutely love that stuff. It is for a whole bunch of really cool reasons. It dries as fast as lacquer, covers like a wall paint, and brush it to the point where it looks sprayed. It is readily available, which is very important to me. It's not going away. It's super easy for apprentices to apply. Also, it's super forgivable, and it's got a beautiful, beautiful finish. So I don't feel you're giving up much with Scuffex. So yeah, we're a Scuffex satin company. We pump out lots and lots and lots of stuff. We're huge fans of it.
Okay, there's one. For rolling walls, do you prefer 1.5 inch or 3.8 inch nap covers?
I've changed this over the years. I used to be a 3/4 guy. Why, you may ask? 3/4 has a beautiful, beautiful production rate to it. You can go half of a dang 12-foot wall with a 3/4 inch roller full of paint. But in the hands of somebody less skilled, you're going to need a lot of stipple and stuff. We've actually gone to 1/2 inch. And I think 1/2 inch is a perfect mating of production because you want it to hold a lot. You don't want a lot of stipple.
Okay, there's one.
Oh yeah, sorry. One last sentence here. So yeah, anything less than 1/2 inch to me doesn't give you a smoother finish, but it absolutely is less production. A lot less with it. I've seen people even use 1/4 inch rollers and stuff, and that is just like, and you're rolling with a dry roller at that point. So I like 1/2 inch. All right, buddy.
Okay, there's please repeat the kind of trim paint you prefer.
Say it again.
Please repeat the kind of trim paint you prefer.
Benjamin Moore Scuffex Satin.
Okay. Morning, Nick. Why do you tear your tape versus running it continuously?
I love that question. I love the nerdy questions. So, I believe it's faster. I believe you have more control. When you continuously roll the tape out like that, it doesn't really give you any advantage. Some people would argue, yeah, it's going to be a month. I would argue if you over 2 inches on every one, it'll do the same thing. Also, you can see I got you can't see because I'm back to it, but there is, you get more control. I call it my rudder hand, where I'm actually out in front of the tape. I'm up in front of the tape, changing the angle of the tape and then pressing it down like that.
Okay, there's super curious why you're taping the sides of the door.
Yes, so there is, Milo, you don't know this because you're young and innocent.
Okay.
But there's a huge controversy in the taping community where people sometimes believe that if you tape things, you are a not good painter. I believe that you are absolutely a good painter when you prep like this. I believe you have to be a good painter. I tape the sides of all these because we want clean lines. We want no little micro dots of paint. Get on any of this.
Okay.
We want it beautifully clean. And I would argue, and nobody's ever done this yet, this is where I get a little spicy on the internet. People say it's wasted time, wasted money, all that stuff, and taping. I truly don't think you can paint faster or better without taping. So, all right, so now taping is done. I move into switchblades.
Okay, there's why when you mask trim, do you keep the tape back just a little so the wall paint just goes a tiny bit on the trim?
I do not. I want to hit that 90, right in the crotch of that 90 perfectly with that, because that'll give you a perfect line. You go a little bit onto the trim, you run the risk of actually, when you're standing in a standing view position, all that stuff, you have to run the risk of seeing a weird little line, and especially this can get exacerbated when you have stained and varnish trim and a painted wall, and there's a black gap, and you have a lighter colored wall paint, there'll be a black gap, and then there will be a tiny little line of paint. Even if it's a 128th of an inch on there, that does not look good. And one of my apprentices must have lost the TV wall switch plate up there, so we don't have one of those, but switch plates all in one place. Now, important again, we're going to start the sanding process.
There's one. Do you still use Promar for 400?
I've never used Promar 400.
Okay. There's one hashtag team tape. There's one that says hashtag team tape.
Yeah, tapers. Real quick, buddy. So LED light again. 3M medium sanding block. I'm just giving you this to make sure my hands are flat. These suckers are dry as a bone. Sand beautifully.
Okay, this one's really funny. Nick is the beard of knowledge.
Say it again, bud.
Nick is the beard of knowledge.
I love it.
There's one. Will this job paint the ceiling or just walls and trim?
Just walls on this one. Here, bud. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I would debate and bet you that I could change your mind about running the tape continuously.
Hold on, bud. There's noisy back here with fans and this. I want to make sure I see the dust coming off this stuff. This stuff dries wonderfully. That's why we use it. And so.
There's one from Nick Joe. Nick, you're the man. Love your Scuff X satin for trim. Do you use the lambskin nap covers?
Yeah, yellow, bud.
Okay. Do you like the lambskin nap covers?
No. Well, yes, I do. But I don't see any benefit besides maybe pickup and production for those things over the white doves. My favorite use of the old lambskin covers would be for when you get them big, 3/4 inch, 1 inch, 1 1/4, and you use them for ceilings. They tend to spill a little less. And for ceilings, that's a great thing. And for ceilings, a lot of times it's production. Start out this one. All right, sanding complete. We're working up a sweat. As I tell my apprentices, the key to painting, doing it well, is the sweat.
Okay, there's one. Thank you, Nick, for sharing knowledge. If you're rolling a ceiling, what roller would you use?
If I was rolling the ceiling, I would go with 1.25 inch thick, big boy. Get the biggest one you can, and get a. You can have one that sheds a little bit. That's perfectly fine. Because if it's a ceiling in texture, it's not going to matter. So the white doves are known for not shedding fibers, but they also are a little less stringy than some of the more production roller covers. So I would actually go to a production roller cover. So, all right, so standard operating procedure for wall painting. We got can, cut can. I'm actually going to warm my roller up, so this can start soaking. I want pro reduction.
Okay, there's one guy said, LED lights are so important. Have you tried cordless versions? We love these.
Yes, two problems with cordless versions. The batteries don't last that long. And, you have to think about apprentices. We can lose charging cords. We can maybe not be charged up, and it just causes problems. So we found that just nice corded versions are just like they're cheaper, they're bomb-proof. They get tossed around in the vans, they're a little tougher. They seem to do better. So, all right, starting top coat one. Again, I'm starting from the corner that I started all the patches on, because those are the driest patches. Typically, what we do when we cut is I start in the lower left-hand corner, I cut up corner, I go over across the top, and then come back along the bottom. But this wall is a simulated closet wall, so we've got this huge opening right here. So what I'm doing, it's kind of a U-shaped wall, starting at the bottom, and I'm working my way up in one continuous arc. And I'll take a couple comments here in a second, but one of the absolute musts of professional painting is something called keeping a wet edge. And I will demonstrate that if we get to the other walls here. But what I'm doing is cutting my top line. I will cut one wall at a time. And then I will roll one wall at a time, because that will leave a wet edge. And if you're having problems with matte banding, flashing, picture framing, whatever people call it, it's typically because you're letting the paint dry, and you're layering too much paint, and the shine of the color can sometimes be off with that. So another thing I love about these 30 Elastos is they got that longer handle, and you can reach about another 6 to 8 inches on a typical wall like this. So, all right, I cut up. This is going to be super close to the camera, but I dip. I'm a dipper and a wiper, and I put the paint towards the wall, and then cut. And typically what I do is, there's going to be a video later this year where I actually go through the mechanics of cutting and all the little nerdy stuff. We'll go into detail with close-ups and everything else. But basically the idea is I try to get my cut line 95 to 99% perfect on the first one. And then magically, it just works out. It's so easy on the second coat to just get that last couple percentage and make it perfect. I've seen it slows down considerably when you try to do a perfect cut line on the first pass. So I like to do, again, 95 to 98. Just get it good in there. So. All right, everybody.
Okay, there's one. Do you reuse your roller covers? And if so, for how long?
So this is something that I actually am very self-conscious of. We do not reuse them. I mean, we'll use them on the same job. We'll wrap them up overnight and all that other stuff. But we do not Number one, there's an economic reason. It takes a lot of time to clean out a bunch of roller covers. You think about having 25 to 35 painters out in the field, and it would basically be a part-time job for somebody to go with that and clean them all and get them ready. Then you're assuming that everybody cleans them out perfectly, doesn't leave any paint water in them, or doesn't dry them out perfectly. They can set somebody up for failure. Now, it costs a lot of money, and roller covers are fairly inexpensive. Now, there's a great debate, and I would love to get with like an economist and figure this one out, but I feel like the amount of water used to clean these things is actually probably worse for the environment than throwing a dried up roller cover in the trash. I'm hoping to have my mind changed by a great economist mind, but that's honestly how I feel. So you got to think about the environmental concerns of, if you stand there for 3 hours over a sink, washing brushes out, number one, that is illegal. Number two, that is a lot of gallons of water that are going somewhere. So we actually, with our brushes, you might find this interesting, we actually have a safety clean kind of wash station like mechanic shops have. And we are washing out our sprayer parts, our brushes, and everything there because it's a non-toxic cleaner. And the company actually comes and recycles it for you. So you're not even throwing it into the waste treatment plant or anything like that. So, all right, brush is wet. Put the bristles back in there. I will hand it next to my next wall, so we're ready. And we roll.
Okay.
I'll show you guys the technique on another adjoining wall, but I'm just going to knock this one out because you can't really see what I'm doing here. The only downside of 18s is you really got to watch how much paint you put on. Not all walls are big flat walls, like these side walls. And if you put too much on, you can actually get these crazy runs. Things down the walls. All right.
Okay, should I read another comment?
Absolutely, bud.
What ceiling paint do you prefer for spraying in new construction?
Sherwin-Williams CHB. It is as close to a perfect paint as you can possibly get. I understand that it's a regional product. I believe I want to say somebody said it was CHB stands for Chicago High Hill, but I think somebody told me it meant something else. So, but it's a near perfect paint. It doesn't flash. It's dead flat. It covers well. I mean, it's the worst wall paint you could probably ever use because it is that builder's flat. But my God, for a ceiling paint, it's nearly a perfect paint. All right, start my second wall.
Okay. Does your SOP time change from slick wall to textured if you have repairs?
I mean, not really. A textured wall may take a little more paint and a little more muscle. Maybe a little more time for texture repair, but typically when we don't have any textured walls. But when we do, we're typically not doing large repairs. So it's just a pinhole or a nail hole in the wall. You can rub a little putty with your fingers and everything goes away.
Okay. That's okay. There's one more. Actually, there's a couple. There's Chicago, CHB Chicago Home Builders.
Home builders, that's right. I've heard that version of it before. It's a wonderful product. If you can get it, man, get it. It is phenomenal.
And there's another comment under that, and it's the same thing. One day you will be holding the camera, and your son will be painting the wall. Good job.
That's it, buddy. So it's going to be really interesting because your dad has over a decade of his life documented on the internet. I wish that I had the same for my dad. So I could go back to the early years of him starting a business and see what his thoughts were, what he was struggling with, techniques he used, all that other stuff. So you're going to have a pretty cool resource, bud. And you're going to have my times on here as well. And
Okay.
That's gonna be cool, because you can challenge me in the future.
There's one. Do you do textured ceiling removal, or
Yes.
is it faster to drywall over it?
No, it is not. It is not. There's unintended consequences with that. You still have to go through the entire drywall process, so I would say no. For popcorn, what we know as popcorn, so people call it cottage cheese, acoustic texture, whatever. We strip that, we'll scrape it off, and we will fix the seams, and then we will apply knockdown. For knockdown, you can't really scrape off knockdown, so typically we would skim over knockdown, make it flat, and then apply more knockdown texture for repair, or make the ceiling flat, either way.
Okay. One is, how do you teach your apprentices to cut straight lines?
Yeah, so you can show them the technique. This is one of those things where it does take repetition. It's got to be committed to muscle memory. So I'll show you. I tell you what, on the next wall, I'll kind of go through my technique. You're not going to be able to see up close. Like I said, there's a show forthcoming with just that, but I will show it on the next wall. I'll give you my little quick technique. You can see I went over left corner, went up, I went over, now I'm going back down and around.
Okay. There's one. Why don't you clean sanded dust from the wall?
There's really no dust on the wall. So that's something where I've never seen a noticeable difference between when you sand a wall completely and then wipe out all the dust versus those couple patches, that stuff, where the dust just kind of, there's a couple grains that fall on the floor. There's no noticeable difference in the wall. And if I'm being 100% honest, that's probably meaning that there is a trace amount of dust still on the wall that does get in the paint. But honestly, if you actually look at drywall, especially walls that have been painted a bunch, there are imperfections far greater than a couple grains of dust in the wall. Stipple from old things, drywall. Sometimes people even have old roller plugs on there. So for me, it's like, yes, you're absolutely right. You could do all that stuff, but nobody would ever know. So that's my thinking about it. Do the things that bring value to your clients.
Okay. There's one. I think the person's from Brazil,
Hey,
and
Bom dia, from Brazil.
yeah, I can show you that. I don't know how to read that
No,
one.
that's okay. If it's in Portuguese, fun, you want that one, go, I'll get you after the show.
Okay. What kind of brush are you using?
30 Pro Extra Elasto, 2.5-inch straight cut.
One says, get it, Nick, and what color are you using today?
I'll find that for you in just a second. I'm not going to stop my wall process. So the next roller pull, I will describe my rolling SOP, how I teach people to roll.
Okay, there's man shows how to paint room. This is gold.
So I like to load up the roller with as much paint as I possibly can. And the goal would be to get 3 roller beds on the wall. So what you never do is start at the top because you're going to leave a bunch of paint. So 1, 2, 3, give or take. I'll start at the middle. I'll lay down a paint stripe. I'll work it to the left.
One says, do you ever tape off outlets after you take covers off? I know.
But then I work it to the right. So then we'll go back over one finish stroke, top to bottom, just so you don't have any little beads or anything else. All right, what was the question, bud?
Okay. Do you ever tape off outlets after? Okay. Do you ever tape off outlets after you take the covers off? I know.
Oh, go ahead.
I know you cut them in, but sometimes the guys accidentally hit them with rollers.
Sounds like you should just stop hitting them with rollers. No, we don't take them off. Typically, they don't get any overspray on them. They don't get any little bits on them, and you're not supposed to paint them. When we do spray trim, we do that. So, what you got, bud?
Mom just joined.
Hey, what's on there? What's up, Toots?
She's I don't know. Wait, no, that's Aurelia.
Oh.
Aurelia's doing it. I thought that one was on TikTok.
My oldest daughter, Nugget.
Hi, Aurelia. Oh, she said hi, Milo.
Okay, wall number 2 done. We're halfway done with top coat 1.
Oh.
So let me do the one more question, then I'll go over my cutting technique.
Okay. Ronnie said, lead by example.
Lead by example, my favorite. You don't necessarily have to lead by example, but it's a hell of a lot easier when you do. Okay, so cutting technique. Take one side of your brush. I'm not a slapper or a tapper. I'm a wiper. Put the paint towards the corner. I don't start exactly in the corner. I run a line of paint out, back, and then fill it in. Stand a little more. So you can see with this one here, I'll try to get my big head out of the way. Bring it back into your last cut. Pick up that paint again. Go forward. Fill it in. This is a robotic movement that you committed to memory.
Dad, can I read one that Ronnie said?
Absolutely.
Ronnie said, I'm seriously thinking of hiring Nick for my company.
Who's that?
Ronnie.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Love it. Love Ronnie. Ronnie Folau Muito. You know what that means, little buddy?
No.
Ronnie talks a lot in Portuguese. I love me some Ronnie.
Okay.
Takes a little bit.
Okay, should I read another comment?
Absolutely, dude.
Okay. Good morning, Nick. Shane from AL. Multiple questions. I'm renovating entire home for a friend. I've scrapped all popcorn and skimmed. I'm also changing wall color to lighter color. For ceiling and walls, I'm just oil prime everything with bin stain blocker because of condition of previous. What would your process be if you were completing?
Okay, so if I understand right, typically if we were to do that job, we would do that. We would strip texture on the ceiling, we would repair all the seams, we would sand it smooth, and then we would actually, we have to stain block it somewhere in there. So we can either do it after texture or before, but we actually use cover stain will always block stains, but when you spray it in the whole house, it can get really stinky. It takes longer to dry. So what we've been doing for the last year or so, we've actually been using their Smart Prime, which is a water-based stain blocking primer, and we've actually had great luck with it. It's been a long time since we've had anything bleed through with Smart Prime, so I would do that because it's water-based. It's a lot easier on your clients. It dries quicker. Yeah, that's what we do. So now, if you were switching all the walls over to a lighter color too, I would be very, very tempted to just spray everything. Spray the ceilings, spray the walls with Smart Prime, just give everything a nice solid base. And then I would probably just run over like with a pole sander, a 360 circle sander or something, smooth everything out, and then start. You got a nice stable base from there.
Okay. Do you want me to read another one?
Absolutely, buddy. Right from the way.
Okay. Do you ever back roll your cuts with a 4-inch?
No, we do not. This is another thing too, where there's people that I know and love who absolutely use a mini roller and back roll all that stuff to give texture. And honestly, if you keep a wet edge, I've never really seen them do that. Never in the history of this company has difference in texture, in cutting and rolling, really been a serious problem. The only time it has been is when somebody hasn't followed the wet edge theory and keep a nice wet edge. So yeah, that's something that I agree is probably an upgrade from what I do, but I don't know that any of our clients would find value in that. We do give them this really beautiful, like matte fall finish with a little bit of luster on it. There's really no big issues with texture differences.
Okay, what is your production rates on walls? How many feet per hour can your painter run?
Yeah, so the problem is production rates are going to be really weird. You can actually figure this out. This is an 8-foot high ceiling. These are 15 by 15-foot walls, so do the math. And then you can time me, and that's your production rate. You start to finish. We've done all these calculations in my company, but we don't estimate by square footage. So it's not a number we dwell in. We use it to come up with some SOPs and some other stuff, but it's not a number that we traffic in, mainly because my production rate, because I've been doing this for almost 30 years, is quite a bit different than some of my apprentices who've only been doing this for 10 weeks. So it makes estimating and using production rates in our company a little trickier than other companies. So yeah, we have them, but there's more important numbers. Like we do a universal number, which is an hourly budget per room or project. We tend to find that for this stage of our company, when we got lots of trainees, to be much better.
Okay, thank you for the awesome answer, Nick. As a handyman, I love learning from you, and we'll definitely try the Smart Prime.
Oh, that's awesome. And I hope I answered the question correctly, but yeah, that's what we've been doing. So I hope it works. The downside of water-based primers is you can get them to bond to stuff, you can get them to sometimes block stains, and sometimes you can get them to be sandable. But we've not yet had a primer that can do all that. And my God, if somebody could come up with water-based primer that will stick to all this old woodwork, not have any stains moving through, and it's sandable. You, my friend, have invented the unicorn primer, and you would not be able to make enough for the demand for me and other painters. That's what we're all holding out for. Because I will stop using oil primer the second we can find a water-based system that does that.
Okay.
It's got to be readily available. It's got to be consistent, like oil primer. Got some more little money?
Yeah. Once you pull the tape, can you show us an up close of the trim? I haven't had the best experience with Frogtape not bleeding.
Yeah, so I absolutely will do that. Milan will remind me at the end.
Okay.
Show.
Got it.
Yeah, so when people say that Frogtape bleeds, I will tell you it's most likely user error. Just when people, and take this in the manner of attention, but when people say this paint failed or something like that, 99% chance paint did not fail. Paint is really one of the most consistent things we have in our world. It's almost always user error. Well, I would say try to fix it with your technique first, because we have absolutely no problem with Frogtape. Frogtape is, interesting story about Frogtape. It was actually invented by this little innovation company about a half an hour from here. And the first time I saw it is when, this is before Tape purchased it. But the guy had made some samples, run into our local hardware store, and I saw this really cool green tape. And I thought, wow, how interesting, you know? And I tried it, and I thought, of course it's going to be a gimmick. Because it's like, hey, we got this special chemical on the edge that stops paint. I'm like, yeah, right, we'll see. And I instantly, I went from just standard blue tape to that. And I would always expect with standard blue tape to have like 2 to 4 touch-ups per bedroom. When you rip off the tape, for any number of reasons. And when I did Frogtape, I would detape a whole room like this, and there would be one single touch of razor sharp lines. So instantly, I was like, oh my God, this is absolutely not a gimmick. This is actually something that's going to improve the way we do business. And we've been a convert ever since. I mean, this could be a decade ago, give or take. And so I actually got in touch with the company, and I went down to visit them. We did some projects together, and then SureTape acquired them, and we actually still do projects with SureTape now for Frogtape. So we are big fans, and not big fans because they pay me to do anything, but big fans because they actually sell a really good product that helps our people out. And it's something that I like very much. So.
Okay, if this is the base SLP, are you selling upgrades and how often? And what upgrades do you offer?
No upgrades. So once in a while, rarely, somebody says, fine, standard wall paint is good, but we want something a little different. You know, we can obviously do a floss room for them if they want. That is, you know, you're charging 30, 40 grand for a project like that. Most people don't want that upgrade. What we can do though is actually smooth the walls out and treat them like trim and actually give them like a scuff X or a Benjamin Moore advanced finish. And that is a beautiful, beautiful, super interesting wall finish. But honestly, what we offer, when I say this is the standard SLP, this is actually something I would consider a very high quality professional finish. One that you're never going to find in most newly constructed homes. But we do take the time to fix the walls and apply 2 coats of a matte paint to give you that beautiful, beautiful sheen. And take the care to give you a nice even finish and things like that. So, yes, there's always things you can do more to rooms. But honestly, you get into this game of diminishing returns where clients aren't willing to pay for much more, or they don't see the value in much more. So you have to, like, my philosophy is give them the best possible thing you can in a reasonable amount of time. Find that nice sweet spot of price and value for them, and always just exceed their expectations. I mean, obviously the goal is exceeded a lot, but as long as you exceed the client's expectations on every project, that would be the goal. Okay, coming down the home stretch, the last wall here.
Okay, there's Nick. Another question. Historically, I've used higher sheen in kitchens, bath, and hallways, but personally prefer the look on flat on walls. With new technology and paint coverings, do you still recommend this process, or is it still safe to use the flat or eggshell in these areas?
Yeah, so this is something that we actually talk to our clients quite a bit about, because in the olden days, back with like little paint and stuff, typically what you'd find is that the higher the shine, the less deadener or flattener they put in, which actually makes for a harder, more resinous paint. So a lot of times when you see beautiful farmhouses that still have original oil paint, there will be gloss oil on the kitchen ceiling and walls, because they would actually scrub up those houses down every spring, open up the windows, scrub the walls, things like that. Now, I believe that that's not true nowadays. I truly believe that satin duration wall paint is as durable, as washable as matte. It's just an aesthetically different shine level. So I honestly say you don't need that, and change shines. And we have battled with clients because it is that commonly held belief that the shinier the paint, the more durable it is. And the problem is with all that thinking is that if you guys have ever seen a true high satin on a new house with drywall, it is one of the scariest things you'll ever see. Those walls are not perfect, and the level of drywall nowadays is not nearly up to what we would consider a good wall. So the shinier the paint you put on, the more flaws you're going to see. That's something we have to walk our clients through, which is you think you're going to get something more durable. In the end, you're not going to get something more durable. You're actually going to get something that aesthetically looks quite a bit worse. And so it's not, shinier paint is not always best for that. But aesthetically, I do like a nice low satin trim. Low satin to me feels a little more sophisticated than a semi-gloss. I'm not a fan of semi-gloss. All right, top coat 2 done. I truly do like flat wall paint, if I'm being honest, but our clients are so skittish at flat wall paint that we have to be super careful about that. We can give them a very good like duration flat, cashmere flat, things like that, but they're still weary about it. So, all right, little buddy, start top coat 2.
Okay, there's one. Is there a difference between blue frog tape and green frog tape?
Absolutely. So, the blue is sort of like the commercial version. It's sold in larger packs, a little more production-oriented, things like that, but it still has that same chemical on it. The green comes in different widths. You know, you can get the stinger, the 3/4, or the fractional, whatever it is. Yeah, the blue only comes in kind of that one size, give or take. So it's really made for production outfits and things like that, but it's a super, super high-grade tape. I love it. So obviously different than the yellow frog tape. Yellow is delicate. Green is kind of the flagship and standard. And they have orange, which is high tack, which is a kind of cool tape. Nothing else in color, but it does actually have that nice high tack. And they're actually coming out, if I read this right, it's on the PCA Expo, that they're actually coming out with a high humidity sort of version of frog tape for the exterior stuff too. So we brought some of that home, and I'm very interested to get that in our hands because Minnesota summers are very humid. Yeah. All right, so putting that second top coat. This time I'm kind of connecting all the little variabilities that they're displaying, and I'm making that line nice and visually appealing from the ground.
Okay.
The thing about cutting is that we rarely are given a perfect 90-degree corner up there. And so basically the goal is you kind of need to make it look straight from the ground. That's the trick. All right, what you got, little buddy?
Okay, there's one. Let's find it again. There's one. You're making me want to paint my own walls now.
Who said that, bud?
Peter Ellis.
Yeah, I love Peter Ellis, man. Thanks a lot.
And then,
listen, I have to be very upfront and honest. I am super self-conscious that Ask a Painter is skewed a little bit more towards the entrepreneurial and business running side of the painting stuff. And I itch greatly to do this stuff. And I miss this a lot. So there will be more of this stuff, but Mastering the Basics series is important to me that in the winter, typically people have more time to work on the business. So that's why I skewed a little heavily towards the job costing, the estimating, the marketing, and standards, deliverables, things like that. But we will get into some hardcore painting. Actually, one of my favorite periods of content creation is when I built my own house 2 years ago, and I was able to practice my craft in the beauty of nature of my little farm, document the entire thing, just pop on live and paint, trim, or do other stuff, and document the whole thing, and then have people's interaction on there, because it's so fun for your own projects. You do things slightly differently than when you do it for clients or for little liberties and things. I actually got super experimental with my house. We had been messing around with ScuffX for about a year at that point, and all signs pointed to that it was a good replacement not a good replacement, a wonderful replacement for our fans, which we love very much, as our trimming captivating animal. And my house was the final test. I wanted to spend a few weeks with it and touch it, and feel it, and smell it, and sand it, and work with it before I actually turned it over to my company and switched to SOP, because SOPs are sacred in my company. If we make a change, it's vetted, it's tested, there's a scientific process. We don't change those on a whim. And after my house, it passed all the tests, and we converted our entire trim and cabinet operation to ScuffX. So that's how we do that. It's a fun proving ground. I don't have to stare at that stuff every day.
okay, there is. Hey Nick, what brand of paint are you using?
So our go-to wall paint is Sherwin-Williams Duration, Sherwin-Williams Home Duration. Duration home mat, I should say. It's the interior version of Duration. I'm actually using Super Paint today because we're saving Duration for our crews out there. There's not technically a shortage, but it's not as easy to come by as it was before. So I didn't want to waste some good Duration on a test route, so we're actually using Super Paint today. This one, but not good Duration.
Okay, there's Nick. I like how you can multitask with working and talking at the same time. My employees would take 3 times as long.
Well, listen, if there is a superpower I possess, it's being super impatient and being utilitarian, where I kind of have one pace that I move at, and it is wonderful for restoring Victorian houses, painting, but like when you're on a walk with your wife, I have one pace, and it's too fast for my wife, and it's not good for your relationship. So I'm always self-conscious of that sort of thing. Tighten up my folder here.
Okay, there's one. I love the Ben Moore Mete or something. I do love your idea of one wall at a time with the wet edge. I always trim the entire room, then rolled.
Yeah, so technically I've done that too, right? That's not a big deal. Sometimes when you're on a monster pavement, you can't cut a couple feet and then get down and roll, and you're going to just yourself in a weird position. So I have done before, and I do. You have a big old great room, vaulted ceiling, stairwell. I do cut the whole thing, and it's not the end of the world. But when you have the opportunity to do one wall at a time, I would absolutely do it because chances of getting a more professional finish are very much higher.
Okay, there's Hey Nick. First time I've made this one live.
Nice. Who's that?
I don't know. I don't think I can pronounce that name.
What else you got for me, little buddy?
That's it. There's no.
Are we caught up?
Yes.
Nice, dude.
I think I read every single chat on
Nice.
TikTok, on Facebook, and on Instagram.
Right now, we have a of about 12 people that came in at the start of the year, and I break up the apprenticeship by 4 quarters of the first year. Technically, an apprenticeship year is about a year long, but obviously people sometimes are ready to run their own for 6 months. Sometimes they still need a little bit of coaching at a year, but either way, a year, they can do almost everything we do really well on the budget. And the first quarter that people come into this company, their responsibilities are prep and de-prep by themselves. So we want them to be able to do prep the kitchen, prep some trim, prep the bedroom by themselves, and then de-prep it. And we also want them to do all of our updates. So we have a thing called the jump sheet, which is kind of our work order, and it tracks labor and material for each job. So obviously, people will need a job for us is important. And we need material and labor numbers from each job. So we ask that our leaders do that. Also, we need a 3 p.m. update every day on Slack. Slack is a messaging app that we use internally to stay off of people's text messages. And every day at 3 p.m. they have a stock form that they fill out about how many hours they used on the project, what they got done, what percentage of the project is done, and what percentage of the budget is used. And that's how we get scheduled. And people always ask, the friction point is schedule. How do you schedule? How do you schedule? Well, that's it. We get an update from every crew at 3 p.m. And our production team sits down, takes in all that information, and then adjust the schedule as needed for the next day. So we get our schedule up by 4 or 5 o'clock every day for our painters. Now, that and the third requirement that we have for apprentices is to paint this bedroom in 4 hours or less. And again, the actual budget for a room like this is about 5.7 hours, which is obviously way too much time. But for that reason, we set a higher level of goal for that.
Okay, Dad, we got a couple more chats. Good morning, Nick. Looking good. Same way I do things. I love your SOP on trim as well. What's up? What's up, boss man? Keep the good work. Keep up the good work. We're starting to use small platforms instead of step ladders as much as we can. At least the least ladder move, the better.
Yeah. So one of my favorite tools that we have incorporated in the business is the corner branches. I use one for my personal stuff. I like a great deal. You can actually cut all the back of the wall with the amount of length that you can walk from side to side. So it's a really cool thing. So yeah, 4-foot step ladder is my favorite for standard because it's small, light footprint. Yeah, those corner benches are something else.
Okay, there's what program are you using to live stream on all social media with one feed?
Yeah, so I actually don't do that. I have 3 devices going right now. Not that one doesn't exist, it's because I haven't taken the time to find one yet. There's got to be a live streaming suite. I'm sure it's a standard thing. I just don't use it yet. I keep it simple. Keep my time for family and business precious. Move on. I'm sure we'll find it upgraded sooner or later. But I use BeLive to broadcast onto Facebook with that template that you guys are watching.
And there is, do you have your team use 18-inch rollers as a standard?
Say it again, Mike.
Do you have your team use 18-inch rollers as a standard?
No, 9 inches standard, but we do give 18 to every crew, their discretion. I'm using an 18 today. That's the last time I did this many years ago, 4 years ago. I did a 9-inch, and I just want another example of something else out there on the internet. So that's why I'm using 18 today. But we use the same roller cover and everything. So same thing, just wider.
Mom's on Facebook right now.
Yeah.
She said, "You're doing great, Milo, man, and Dad, too."
Oh, great, me too. I was going to say, if you get the compliment, buddy, I'm super jealous. You're doing really good, buddy.
There's one. I see you chose the second cut as the fast cut.
Yeah, I think you actually time it. It's likely that they're actually very close in time. There's, at least in my mind, they're not noticeably different.
Okay, we're up.
I will tell you this, there's one unique thing about this room is that it's been painted 1,100 times. And the joint between the wall and the ceiling is not your typical joint. You can imagine some of these corners too, they get a lot of fill and paint. And we actually took off some of this trim to redo this stuff. There was like 3/16 worth of paint on there or something. It was some ungodly amount of paint, some crazy big layer of paint. So this gets painted 8 on. So yeah, if I did slow down on the first one, it's usually because there's huge lumps paint buildup, and I kind of have to make my own line. So it's not as intuitive as just running it down the 90-degree crotch of the wall and ceiling. It's more like you need to create the illusion of a straight line.
Okay, there's any advantage to using a 14-inch instead of a 9-inch as a standard tool?
No, I mean, yes. Obviously, there's more production. We use 14s too, but for me, it's kind of like, listen, I love the 14, but at that point, if you're using a 14, might as well go to an 18, honestly. I know that Purdy came out with a new reinforced 14, which I'm a huge fan of. We showcase it later in the year. But the downsides of a lot of those early 14-inch rollers is that they weren't supported on both ends of the roller cover, like an 18, and that sucker will flex. Flex to the point where it would bend, and you can't really wrench on it. You know, I like to apply a lot of pressure on my roller covers to get maximum coverage and just for speed and things. And when I used to wrench on some of those early versions of the 14s, man, those suckers would flex like D4, and I think they actually got a D. But Purdy's got one out that's paying up if you're going to use 14. But for me, honestly, it's like if you're going to go 14, go 18. I can't, unless you have some really unique wall configuration, I really can't know the reason why you would pick a 14 over an 18. I mean,
There's one that says, "Hey Nick, I was given the exterior yellow frog tape to test. Looking forward to trying it."
Absolutely, I would love. Who said that? But
Harvey Foles. I don't know.
yeah, you have to report back. I would love to hear how that goes. Because we are going hard on that stuff. Our exterior is looking just great.
Okay, I'm all caught up on chats.
Nice, dude. You are a very efficient young man.
Thank you.
All right, coming down the home stretch here. I'm on ball 3 with a final cut. So with this, this is the second time in my company we've done the bedroom painting contest. And last time we had a whole bunch of great prizes. $100 Amazon gift cards and all this stuff. We're going to do something similar this time too. And yeah, we put almost everybody in the company through this. There are some phenomenal times in there. I love seeing that. And do this not only because I want people to challenge the limiting of what's possible, but because these 10 or 12 apprentices that we have, one of their apartments in the first 3 months is a 4-hour bedroom. So this is a way of testing because in 2 weeks we have a goal setting and review meeting where we sit down with everybody in the company, and that's the time where we review their progress in the apprenticeship program. So this is a way for them to put the numbers in. So we actually know for sure we're doing well.
Okay, there's one that says, "What is your SOP with new trim? What kind of filler do you use on nail holes?"
So we actually use the same filler, the 3M high strength tinted, for nail holes and stuff. It doesn't need to be structural. It doesn't need to be hard. It just needs to fill a hole and be smooth. So we actually use 3M high strength and new trim.
Okay, now I'm all caught up on chats.
Next one. Oh man, it's been a long time since I did one of these. I actually had to wake up today and think about it. Make sure that I visualize every step of the SOP. But happy to report that after basically 3 or 4 years of being office bound, still got it. That muscle memory is still there. I was worried that all those repetitions, all that constant improvement that I did go away without using it, but it absolutely does not. It feels awesome.
Okay, there's one that says, "What caulking do you use for the trim?"
Yeah, so we actually use an All Pro Fast Dry. It's in an orange tube. I would show it to you. We have it at our supply room right behind, but I need time. I'm not going to do that. But if you email me at slavic.com, I can send you a link or send you an image. But yeah, it is an All Pro fast dry version, and it is an orange.
Okay, there's one that says, Nick, love watching all of your videos, especially the character homes you do. You should be so proud of your success.
Wow, that's nice. Thank you. This one's got some big old lumps on it, so I'm just making sure I visually connect. Sometimes when you go up and clean a little lump, it actually creates a little like hump that you can see from the ground. So, navigating.
There's another one. Good morning, Nick. Painting is like riding a bike. You never lose it.
Boy, I mean, I guess this is proof of that, but I always worry about it. Not gonna lie to you. Man, this feels good. Sometimes I wish I could shut business side part of my job description off for a couple. Just do this. This is deeply satisfying. And this has never gotten less of that. That's going on. I always wondered if I would just get sick of doing like, something like this. Even just writing about painting, but I absolutely. This is for you, it's for you. I also worry about getting out of shape too. I think something that estimator Andy and I joke about is Andy painted for 10, 15 years too. And when he stopped, he gained some weight, so did I. And that is a standard thing because I have a nice sweat running right now. It's nice. So you can imagine doing that for 10 to 14 hours a day. That's basically low level aerobics all day. And this last summer, I actually took about 2 weeks off of the business side and restored a Victorian mansion for my people. And I did use my Apple Watch during that. And I was walking the equivalent of like sometimes 8 or 11 miles a day around this house, up and down ladders, over the roof, things like that. And I was burning like 1,800 calories a day, which is damn good exercise. And that's how you're able to. I mean, I never did this, but that's how a lot of tradespeople are able to eat gas station pizza, sandwiches, hammer vein energy drinks, eat candy all day, junk food. They can kind of hold it together because they are burning a monstrous amount of calories. But boy, if you ever stop, that is a tough place to be in. And I gained a bunch of weight. I must have gained 20, 30 pounds in a year after I stopped painting full time. So I had to be super intentional while watching that.
Okay, there's one says, I love this, Nick. I listen to podcasts and paint. You make the podcast and paint. You're a whiz in this room right now. Looks great. And awesome job, Gator Boy.
Oh, man. Well done, buddy.
And then there's another one that just came in. Just starting out doing this. Besides the training we have in our shop, your videos have been a great help.
Oh, man, that's so good to hear. Yeah, people forget sometimes that, like, listen, I'll be the first one to tell you, painting is very important. Graphic painting is a sacred thing for me. I love it deeply. But sometimes we can focus too much on painting and not enough on the humans in our business. You have to remember that all businesses are human-based entities that just offer a service or a product outside of humanity. And I think the trades has suffered from martyring ourselves from the craft, from martyring ourselves in the craft, and not spending near enough time martyring ourselves as a human that are on there. And you can see why not a lot of young kids are getting in because there's a lot of grumpy old people that are not taking good care of them. So I think that's one of those things where yes, this SOP is important to me, but honestly, when we train this SOP, the technical part is not the hard part. It's that limiting belief of can I even do this? And when you add somebody who's never been in the trades before, and never been in the trees before, and you bring them into this, they sometimes don't know how long. Sometimes people have painted a bedroom themselves, and it's taken 2 weekends. And all of a sudden, some guy with a big beard saying, you gotta do this in 4 hours, it can be scary. So, we have an example of one apprentice who did a first test of this bedroom, and they did it in 7 hours. And it really kind of unseated them. You know, they were kind of tripping up, like, oh my God, there's no way I'm ever gonna move to the next level of apprenticeship. My job's in jeopardy, this and that. And my approach to that is to attack the headspace, the limiting belief of that, and not the technical training. That person had all the technical skills that they needed. But they were lacking in self-confidence to do it. So honestly, apprenticeship at its base is a headspace thing. And it's when you listen to the technical language. Not the way I started out. I only focused on the technical, and I did a disservice to the humans.
Okay, there's one says, I'm in the same boat. I've gained some pounds from being in the office a lot more. And then one is, go Nick, you're killing it.
Thank you, man. Thank you, thank you. All right, on to my last roller foam. Are all those beats still going though, buddy? Did you get kicked off or anything?
No, I don't think so. I'm just caught up on all the chats.
Nice. Okay, painting is done. Now we will go for the tape. And very important, I like to ball my tape up as I go. A lot of people throw it on the ground and it's just another step that you have to do. A little bit of a tape shred right there. You getting antsy, little buddy?
Kind of, but I like it.
We're almost done, little buddy.
It's fun.
We just have a piece of tape carrier, so I'm just peeling it off the side of the trim.
Oh, Dad, we
In the actual.
gotta do a close up on the trim. Remember?
What's that, bud?
We have to do a close up on the trim.
All good. Dave, you do it right. This is how the tape.
Okay, there's another one that came in. Wait to keep finding boss man.
Say that again, bud?
Wait to keep finding boss man.
Love it.
And then there's one. Are you still planning a summer retreat?
Yes, it'll be in late August. I'll announce it publicly probably within the next month.
Okay.
Who said that?
John Anderson.
Yep, it's a comment.
When can we expect details about the applications?
Yeah, it's a comment.
And then I think there's another Brazilian person here.
Almost got a piece of tape stuck to my neck. Yeah, especially on this wet wall here, I mean, very careful to pull it off at an angle so we're not hitting it. Alright, so, go back.
Okay, another one just gotta jump off. Thanks for all you do. Have a great weekend.
Good time to jump off. I'm just about done here. Right. Switch plates going on, and then I can punch that clock.
Another one came in. It said, "What is your go-to paint? Is it Sherwin-Williams?"
For trim?
No, it didn't say trimmer. It's like just your go-to paint.
Okay, so my go-to wall paint is Sherwin-Williams Creation Home Matte. My go-to trim paint is we prime with cover stain, and we use Benjamin Moore Scuff X satin. Ceiling paint is Sherwin-Williams CHP.
And one said, "You killed it, Nick."
Thank you. I appreciate that. I would love, I should actually sit down sometime and try to calculate the number of bedrooms that I've painted in my life. 1,000 at this point. But it's still as rewarding as it was. I mean, it's delicate. Paint is dry, but it obviously not as dry as it could be. Okay, that's it. Boom. Woo! Hour and 23 minutes. See how many calories I burned here, too.
Okay, while you do that, there's another comment I'm going to read. Love you sharing your process. I hopped on later, but I'm guessing you cut ceilings in by hand. I hope we connect at some point in the future.
Absolutely. So, last thing I'll say is, if you want a copy of this SOP to see exactly what I did here, email me, nick@nickslavic.com. You get this, exactly what I did here. So, budget for one of these is 5.7 hours. Goal in my company, a standard is 4 hours. I did it in hour 23, give or take, which I'm very proud of. I don't know, I've never actually tied myself as far as that goes on this thing like this. So that was fun. Yes, buddy.
It was an hour and 36 minutes.
Oh, well, okay. We'll see. The feed has been going for that long. But remember when I started painting?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, second guessing your old man. Come on, buddy. Where's the support? No. All right, everybody. So this thinking comes out of first principle reasoning. First principle reasoning is breaking problems down to their minimalist things. Breaking these down to the most minimalistic base, and then building up a solution from there. So we basically take a room like this and say, well, why do certain people do things like this? Why do we have to sand the wall? Do we have to then wipe down all the dust? What do we have to do to the trim? Do we have to tape or not to tape? And when you test everything, get feedback from that, you can actually say, well, what are the minimal steps that we can do to provide the maximum value for the client? And that's what this treatise is right here. So thank you, everybody, for watching. This sort of thinking comes in groups like the PCA, the Painting Contractors Association. They build better contractors. They have world-class painters training like this. They have a business accelerator, which is going to be launched soon, which is basically, when you think about the mastering the basics part of Aspen Painter, job costing, estimating, all this and that, it lays the groundwork for what it's like to run a professional business. That is forthcoming. There's a whole bunch of in-person events like the Big Expo, and outside of that, there are just phenomenal people there. And the reason that I have done what I've done in the last 5 or 6 years is because of the people in that organization guiding me through this. And if you want to talk to a bunch of paint nerds and business nerds, that is your place. People who love to dissect this sort of thing is great. Go ahead, bud.
Okay, there's one that says, wow, I'll be emailing you soon. Thank you again. And close up, let's see.
Close up. Oh, yes, absolutely. So I think we got to take this guy. All right. So what you see down here is that's an actual gap in the woodwork there. Trim line. Sorry, this thing is this is my tablet and it's autofocusing. So yeah, try to find a place where the light is right and it won't autofocus like that. Come on. All right, sorry guys, we're having some autofocus stuff. Come on. All right, well, yeah, there we go. Back up a little bit, something like that. So, yeah. All right, folks. turn this sucker around. You framed up good, buddy?
Mm-hmm. There's another chat that just came in.
Wonderful. Last question, then we're done.
Can't wait to see you again at the next expo. It was great. I missed it. When is the next retreat?
The Ask a Painter Live retreat will be in late August. The next expo, I believe, will be in next February or March 2023 in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So, all right, folks. Thanks everybody for watching. We're going to call it a wrap here because Milo's on the clock as well as my production assistant today, and now we are back on family time. So have a great weekend, everybody, and we will see you next week. All right, bud, let's shut them down.
Is that it?
Yep. All right, let's see. Yep. Good boy.